influential writer and actor Sam Shepard died last summer, leaving a legacy of writing that takes an unflinching look at the American dream through many works, perhaps most famously, True West. That play is now enjoying an acclaimed revival on Broadway, starring Paul Dano as aspiring screenwriter Austin and Ethan Hawke as Lee, his wild card of an older brother. Hawke has a long history with Shepard as an actor, director, and co-star. How important was True West to you?
Well, as a young person, the play, really lit a fire inside of me. When I saw it on the PBS special, I was about 14 years old. My mother let me stay up late to watch it. It was like listening to wolves howl outside your door or something. You just wanted to run to whoever. I wanted to be a part of that. It was just something nobody had ever seen before. And the voice, one of the major poets of his generation, Sam Shepard. And over the years, I got a copy of that tape and I watched it over and over again. Then when I was about, 25, I got the opportunity to be, Steppenwolf was doing its 20th anniversary production, and they were doing Sam Shepard's Buried Child. And he had won the Pulitzer for that play, and he was revisiting it, rewriting it. It was kind of a big deal.
And Gary Sinise directed.
And Gary Sinise directed. It was an incredible production, incredible thing to be a part of. And I really started my Sam Shepard education. True West was huge for me.
So having a play that you know so well and stepping into it now, I feel like True West is in my bones. I just know it.
You say that, and a lot of people do, but I think it is one of the most famous plays that most people haven't seen. It's famous. You know Sam Shepard and you know the words True West, or you saw a piece of it, or you think you saw it, but it is interesting. It's a very punk rock play. Well, I've always believed it's kind of secretly a great play and kind of a diamond, and we're living in this Me Too era, and this era where you're constantly hearing the expression toxic masculinity and stuff. And Sam was writing about that long before that was an expression. These two men left in charge of their mother's house who can't seem to accept one another or different aspects of themselves, to the point where they leave the house demolished and they forgot to water the plants. The whole place is dead. It's a beautiful poem on that subject matter. And it still has a ton of punk rock in it,
An off-Broadway sensation in the 80s, True West finally bowed on Broadway in 2000, starring Philip Seymour Hoffman and John C. Reilly as the brothers. The actors in that production famously alternated roles throughout the run.
I was friends with Philip Seymour Hoffman. I admire wildly John C. Reilly. I admire what they did so much. I auditioned for that production. Sam Rockwell and I, it got down to, it was either going to be Sam Rockwell and I or Phil and John C. And when I didn't get that part, I thought, oh, there goes True West for me. My generation's True West. So I was kind of shocked to get the call, because I thought, well, aren't I too old for that? And then Sam, reminded me that, it was originally done that my character's supposed to be in his 40s, and that Austin character's supposed to be in his 30s, and he wanted there to be at least a decade between them. He wrote it looking at 40, and so Austin is kind of an idealized version of who he was in his first marriage and where he was sitting before that blew up on him, and Lee is a projection of who he was worried he was going to become. So they both have Sam in them, and so I found myself in this unique position of, when I got offered the play, by the time I met James McDonald, who was the director Sam had hired, Sam had died. And it seemed like it was no longer a conversation about whether I was the right person to do it. It was the last, I felt like I had to do it.
From his first exposure to Shepard's work at the age of 14 to now over 30 years later, Hawke has become an adept interpreter of the playwright, as both an actor and as a director, most notably of an acclaimed production of Live the Mind off-Broadway.
I got to work with Sam in Chicago at Steppenwolf, Gary Sinise. I was part of the signature season. I also got to act with Sam.
Right, he played your father.
He played my father in Hamlet. He played Hamlet Sr.
Was there a paternal relationship between you?
There were days. He was very helpful during my divorce. He's a really good friend to me in that way. But Sam was a mercurial guy. I don't claim to be one of his best friends, but he could be a real ally, and he loved actors. One thing I keep telling Paul Dano, is how much Sam would love him. And everybody projects this kind of tough guy thing on him, and they forget that, he rode in the back of Dylan's tour bus with Allen Ginsberg for a year. I mean, Sam's a wild card. He wasn't one thing.
Hawke made a big splash in the 1989 film Dead Poets Society at the age of 18. The movie was a hit, but Hawke still felt he had a lot to gain as an artist. He turned to theater for that education.
I've had to learn on my feet. I did my Broadway debut when I was 21. I remember going to the audition for The Seagull and calling up a buddy of mine who had gone to college and saying, okay, have you heard of Anton Chekhov? And he's like, yeah, greatest Russian playwright of all time. Don't say that to anyone else. I said, okay, cool. How about the play Seagull? Yep, he's got 4 masterpieces and 2 ancillary ones that some people consider lesser or greater. Okay, which one is a Seagull? A masterpiece. Oh, okay. What scene are you doing for the audition? That was on my way to the audition. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
But you didn't give up. You kept going at it.
Exactly. And I remember I was doing my audition and my hands were shaking, and the guy said, you come back when you learn your lines, And the guy was so hostile. But I did. And that's kind of what you have to do. And then you either fall in love with Chekhov or you don't. And you start to get it or you don't.
Since his debut in The Seagull, Hawke has continued to balance his film career with theater. In the last year alone, he has won acclaim for his performance in Paul Schrader's First Reformed, the romantic comedy Juliet Naked, and his passion project Blaze, which he wrote, directed, and produced. All the while, he knew he'd be coming back to the stage in True West.
I like to work.
Clearly, you work a lot.
I work a lot, and I think that work begets work. And because I have so many interests, if I wasn't interested in theater, then I would work less because I'd want a break from the movies. Well, I get to have a break from the movies by doing theater. A few years ago, I did a series of plays in a row. I did Chekhov's first play, Yvonne, and I did Brecht's first play, Baal, and then I did the Scottish play. I did Shakespeare. There were 3 very, very dark plays, all of which ended with death, and all of which were very difficult. But I felt a little bit burned from it. I felt like a different actor when I came out of it. They were so difficult. But all the movies that I did were so much easier. When Paul Schrader came to me and wanted me to play this priest in the spiritual crisis, well, it was a lot easier than Macbeth. And coming back to Shepard was like coming back after the plays that I'd done being a little bit out of my wheelhouse. There were stretches. That Lee is like a jacket I own.